It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for December 7th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, we're just going to keep arresting Yuji Naka until it sticks. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jess O'Brien from Giant Bomb, everybody. Jess, how are you doing?
I'm sleepy.
Yay! I'm glad we could get you up early, come on the show. It's the first time having you on. I'm very excited about it.
I know. I'm like the person on staff that's the most notorious, like, sleeper inner and also worker too later because
Right.
I am luxurious and I sleep in. So I sleep hard, I play hard, I work hard is what I'm saying.
I enjoy sleeping in. I would do it way more often. I am in part of my life where I'm realizing I'm just going to have to get my kids up for school for the next 18 years, basically, or 15 years. Yeah.
You lost that privilege when you had kids.
Yeah, it occurred to me the other day. I'm like, oh man, that's really depressing.
That's one of the reasons I'm not really having one, I think. Is like, I think sleep kind of rules too much and I'd be like a totally different and more miserable person if I got less of it. So.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy sleep and sleeping in, and we still try to do it on the weekends, but even then, it's like we're still getting up at 8 a.m.-ish at the latest.
God.
So, yeah.
Farmer shit. I'm not getting up at that.
Kids are ready to go. So,
even when I was a kid, I didn't want to get up that early. I don't know what's wrong with everyone else's kids these days.
Yeah, their predilection is towards staying up late. So it's like, I think that pretty soon here, it's probably will flip and they'll want to be up later and sleep in more. But we'll see. Mostly it's just burning the candle at both ends because their candle can burn at both ends right now without having to pay a horrible price like I have to pay. But we'll see. They'll just continue making me pay the price for now. All right, we do have a lot to get into, so let's get into the morning mess. But before we do so, we'll explain what we do here. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. You are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. Shout out to the RSS gang. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Microsoft commits to bringing Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms if the Activision Blizzard deal goes through. This is a story that popped off late last night. This comes from Haley Williams at GameSpot. Ahead of its pending acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft has announced a 10-year commitment that will see Call of Duty games published on Nintendo platforms again. The deal was announced in a tweet by Phil Spencer, who added that Call of Duty games will also continue to be offered for PC players on Steam simultaneously with Xbox. Here's the tweet from our boy Philly Spence. Microsoft has entered into a 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo. Following the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King, Microsoft is committed to helping bring more games to more people, however they choose to play. There's a lot more here, Jess, but there's two sort of analogies that pop into my mind. The one is this is like in a sitcom when you are trying to make something happen with another character. Like if one character is like trying to make another character jealous and there's a party and they bring some other third character to the party with them, and that third character doesn't care about any of this and is oblivious and just is there for like the shrimp cocktail. That's Nintendo. And
Nintendo's the George Costanza of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And then Microsoft's over here just trying to like say, Sony, come on, bite on this. And they're like kind of bitter rivals, and it's not really actually going to go through. And the other one is I drink your milkshake, where Microsoft is just trying to completely surround Sony in a situation where it's like, if we kind of make this deal with everyone else but you, it'll kind of make you look a little bit silly to the regulators, where it's like, we drank your regulation milkshake here. Everyone sees that we're willing to make deals and play ball. So you must be the one left out and on an island all by yourself.
Is this bullying?
It's definitely a little bit of corporate bullying.
Corporate bullying.
I mean, it's Microsoft throwing their weight around. It's Microsoft trying to put them in a position of looking at odds with the rest of the industry, and Sony is trying to do a little bit of bullying themselves just through the regulators. And that's one of the things that Phil Spencer said in interviews with Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal that he did as part of this announcement. He basically said that Sony is more willing to have a bunch of conversations with regulators than they are with us. We're trying to get them to sit at the table, and they're not willing to do that. So Sony's clearly still trying to use regulators to blow up this deal, which of course is their right to try to do. Well, is that actually going to work in the end? We're still going to have to wait and see that. But I mean, when you see Phil Spencer out there, kind of late at night, right when Nintendo is, in the middle of its business day, announcing this, do you really think this means a Call of Duty game is going to be on the Nintendo Switch anytime soon?
I don't know. I just hear this news and I think, wow, no console is safe from Call of Duty. It's always going to be somewhere around the corner. I'll be like, talking to I once was talking to I had like a physical therapist or something. My knee was busted for a while and I was trying to make conversation. I was like, hey, do you play video games? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, oh, cool. What games? And he was like, Call of Duty and FIFA. So I had nothing to talk to him about. Nothing.
I mean, they're massive franchises, and yet they have not mattered on Nintendo. Call of Duty hasn't mattered on Nintendo for more than a decade, I think. Getting close to a decade, because Call of Duty Ghosts was on Wii U. No one knew that or cared or remembered that.
Really?
Yes, exactly. Very strange. That system fizzled, and Activision stopped investing in it, and then they haven't seen a reason to go back to the Switch and try to force Call of Duty onto Switch. Something that probably wouldn't be impossible, but also probably wouldn't be worth the effort. But if Phil Spencer says, hey, we put Minecraft on the Switch, we will use the same sort of concept here with Call of Duty. He does point out that Minecraft is much easier to get running on a Switch, but he's like, hey, we could figure that out. I think that this is still him just paying lip service to this concept, because none of this, again, is really about Nintendo or Call of Duty on the Switch. It's about Sony and regulators and regulation, and
it's about bullying Sony.
It's about making Sony look silly. And I mean, I don't know, like, you from the outside, someone is not like caring about whether or not Call of Duty ends up in one place or the other. Does that feel like it works? Do you feel like Sony looks like they're at odds with the rest of the industry?
I suppose so. I mean, I don't know the corporate inner workings and the little petty details between these companies, so I don't really know how they act and react to each other. But that is funny to hear that one of these giant corporations is kind of being a petty little shit to one of the other ones.
Yeah, it does seem pretty petty. This is throughout the story, we've covered the story for weeks, and every little tidbit is one company saying something in the press to respond to something the other company said, and just going back and forth. And that's not something they traditionally do. This does seem like the culmination of it, though, where it's like, hey, we are, you won't talk to us. We're going to go talk to all these other people that are basically the industry equivalents of you, Nintendo and Steam. They also had a similar 10-year deal with Steam, as we mentioned earlier in the story.
This is high school shit.
It does. Yes, it feels sitcom-y. It feels high schooly. But it's also kind of the only option that's been left to Microsoft unless something actually does come where the FTC does sue them for this deal and try to litigate the deal in court, which could still happen, although that seems iffy based on the most recent reporting. But the EU is still there and does have strong regulation and could try to crack down on the deal and make concessions. To that end, not Phil Spencer, Brad Smith, one of the presidents of Microsoft, one of the key people up top, below Satya Nadella, he put an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, and he did some tweets basically saying, hey, we'll make this deal with anyone. And he just called out Sony by name. It's like, we will make this deal with Sony, and we will go so far as to make it legally binding in the EU, the UK, and the United States. So they're trying to say, hey, if we're offering this deal right now, maybe it's just a handshake agreement, maybe there is like a legal contract. Regardless, they're saying we'll actually put this into the contract of concessions to let the deal go through, so that we have to abide by it according to the federal governments of all these different regions. This deal is obviously really important to Microsoft, and I think on Sony's side it's really, really important it doesn't go through. It just Microsoft's is throwing everything they can at it, and it seems like in the end it probably will still go through. So at what point does Sony relent and just say, okay, give us the 10-year deal? Because a 10-year deal is a good thing. And there's no sign that after that 10-year deal, suddenly Call of Duty is going to pull the rug out from underneath them and not give them Call of Duty, or Microsoft's not going to take Call of Duty away after that, right?
Mm-hmm. And by that time, there's going to be a whole new console generation anyhow.
Yeah. Console and a half, it feels like.
Console and a half, yeah, actually.
Yeah. It's It's bizarre. It's actually continues to be pretty fascinating to see how these companies try to deal with each other when it comes to the public, something they are not practiced at. They try to keep these things behind closed doors, right? And so when it all comes out in the open, it's like, well, this is strange. You guys are being weird to each other. Making Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox would be disastrous, Microsoft president says. This continues on from this story. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Microsoft President Brad Smith wrote that op-ed for the Wall Street Journal in which the executive makes a claim for why he believes the deal is good for gamers. Which, of course, he did. Smith is obviously biased here, as Microsoft is financially motivated and helped get the deal done, so his comments should be heard in that context first and foremost. In his piece, Smith said the Federal Trade Commission's reported plan to sue Microsoft to block the proposed deal to buy Activision Blizzard would be a, quote, huge mistake. Smith also confirmed reports that Microsoft offered a 10-year deal to Sony to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Not allowing the deal to go through would, quote, hurt competition, consumers, and thousands of game developers. This story goes on as well, Jess, but the big thing here from the FTC in the United States has been they want to analyze these deals based on what they're going to do to the workers at these companies. They were like, okay, previously, earlier in the last century, the FTC and regulators in the United States broke up deals because it would hurt one competitor versus another in a market. After a certain period of time, judges kind of changed the Supreme Court, and the thinking was, we shouldn't stop that. We should only stop a deal if it's going to hurt consumers and prices and cause prices to go up. No one's real. I mean, Sony's tried to say that, but no one's really arguing that. Prices are going up regardless without this happening. So prices are going to probably keep going up whether this thing goes through or not. So the argument has begun to shift. And this is with the new FTC chairman, Lena Khan, I think is her name, who says, well, we want to actually broaden our approach here and not say just if it hurts consumers and prices. We also want to think about the workers at these companies. And from that perspective, I still find it unlikely that it doesn't feel like a winning argument to say the workers will be better under Bobby Kotick and under Activision, a place that has had multiple reported claims of toxic environments. And a lot of people have left because they have created those toxic environments. And it's not like, oh, suddenly it's sunshine and rainbow over there. And meanwhile, Microsoft has, as part of like this campaign to convince regulators that they are this good place and they're the good tech company, has put a lot of effort into making it a place where things can, where workers can feel more welcome. But I mean, I guess do you buy that Microsoft is positioning itself as the good guys of the industry, at least relative to Activision Blizzard?
I mean, it's hard to be worse than Activision Blizzard, right? You have to really fuck up, right?
Yeah.
So it's a low bar to clear.
Very low.
And that being said, like I don't really trust any major corporation to actually give a shit about the workers, and if they do, it's by accident or out of necessity because someone forced them to.
Yeah,
because it business wise, it makes more sense to just completely abuse the people you work with and have a revolving door of new people coming out of college and stuff like that have no standards. You can pay less and all that stuff. So I mean, yeah, better looking than Activision Blizzard, but who knows like what actually goes on back there.
Right. It's really hard for us from the outside to measure these things. Better looking does feel like the appropriate way of saying it, because who really knows? I mean, that's it. I think there's no reason to assume the status quo at Activision Blizzard would be we should be trying to protect that. That's where I think the regulators will probably say, okay, we don't know for sure. And when we try to find out, it does seem like Activision Blizzard would be worse than Microsoft to be a worker at. But we don't really know for sure. And so in that reality, why would we be trying to protect Activision Blizzard or trying to protect the market and keep an Activision Blizzard around and independent? That seems like a weird thing to do if our concern is the workers. At the end, though, this Smith argument still comes back to Sony. Sony seems to be the only company that really has any big issue here. We're trying to talk to them. They won't talk to us. So, what are we supposed to do there? And it will kind of come down to whether or not these regulators buy Sony's arguments. All right, let's move on from that never-ending sort of nightmare of a story. Sonic Prime will debut inside Roblox 5 days before Netflix. This comes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Netflix's new Sonic anime, Sonic Prime, debuts December 15th on Netflix, but Roblox players can watch it almost an entire week early. Netflix has announced that the season premiere of Sonic Prime will be available inside a video game, Roblox, on December 10th. Players can watch the episode inside Sonic Simulator in Roblox. Why would people want to do this? Or why does Sega want to do this? Or Netflix? 600 million people have visited the Sonic Simulator in Roblox. So reaching
a lot
fans,
of them kids.
Yes, a lot of them kids. So it's like that's where the next generation is. That is a big number for something called the Sonic Simulator. I would assume the Sonic Simulator in Roblox, even if it is a kids game, is probably some devious stuff. But who knows? This is happening more frequently. I guess that I go back to the Dragon Ball episodes being watchable in Fortnite. This is kind of where games are fitting into the wider culture, where these big corporations see them as vessels to sell their other media, right?
I mean, yeah, it's a medium, and it's also basically one big targeted ad. Like you know exactly the demographic that's going to be playing that game and who's going to waltz into the Sonic Simulator, which in my mind is just like a first-person VR thing where you're eating chili dogs, but that's just me. So yeah, it's just like everything's an ad. Even the things you play is an ad when you come down to it.
Yep. I mean, especially in a game like it's a free-to-play game, Roblox. Yeah, you could spend a lot of money on the currency
that
there.
Completely exploits all of the kids that make
Yes.
stuff for it, which is a whole nother fucking can of worms.
Yeah,
I can't believe like there hasn't been a bigger deal made of that. And if there was, Sega would be like, whoa, we're not doing that. That's like child exploitation of their labor and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's
it's
a whole
such
thing.
a weird thing because it's like the kids are doing it voluntarily, and then they agreed to let us take most of the money that they make for us. So they're children. What are you talking
These
about?
12-year-olds are earning fake money.
This is
Wink.
super weird digital future sweatshop shit. What have you created here, Roblox? Roblox, a multi-billion-dollar company. I know there was a point where it was like $30 billion, something along those lines. But still, a free-to-play game that is the de facto go-to game for most children. A game that's been out since 2006, and it has this cultural hold on a new generation of players. You got to go where the players are, and it turns out that generation is right there playing Sonic Simulator, I guess. All right, let's see. River City Girls 2 developers reveal game is coming later this month. This comes from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Developer WayForward has announced River City Girls 2 will launch December 15th in North America and Europe. The beat-em-up sequel starts after the first game features after the first game and features Marion from Double Dragon franchise, as well as Provi from the River City Ransom Underground. Marion first appeared in Double Dragon as Billy Lee's girlfriend, who, after taking a punch to the gut, became a damsel in distress for the entirety of the game. River City Girls 2 will see her dishing out some pain as a playable character after cameo role in the previous title. Along with Marion and Provi's, River City Girls 2 also features the original title's cast of 4, Masako, Kyoko, Kunio, and Riki. River City Girls is, I know, a favorite of a lot of people in the beat 'em up genre. I'm very excited to actually give this a try. This game was, like they said, it's coming in 2022. We got to December, we hadn't heard anything. It actually is coming out this year, so that's pretty exciting. Have you spent any time with River City Girls?
No, but I do want to comment. Let's go, girls.
It's girl power, absolutely.
We fixed all the sexism problems. They're gonna go beat up people now. It's cool, everyone.
Yeah, that was always the way that the video games work. It's like, well, it's not sexist anymore because they're beating up people now. It's like, okay, but these games,
okay.
These games are very fun according to a lot. But again, I haven't played River City Girls 1, but
I haven't played either. Yeah, so
I think I'm gonna check this out. This is a game we were doing. We did the Bombcast yesterday. I went through a list of games that were coming out. This was like announced as we were doing the show, and I know Mike Minotti was in chat yelling at me that the date was announced, but I didn't see him. I just ignore him now. So I'm like, okay, but I would have put this on that list of games coming soon that could be considered for Game of the Week, and maybe we'll try to make that happen because I know people love River City Girls too. All right, let's get to the next one, which we've all been waiting for. Yuji Naka reportedly arrested again.
that rascal.
That little rapscallion. This comes from Danielle Pardis at gamesindustry.biz, excuse me. Yuji Naka has reportedly been arrested on suspicion of insider trading for a second time, this time relating to Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. According to Japanese outlet Asahi, how do I say this?
Asahi is usually how people say it, like the beer.
Asahi, okay, thank you. The former Sonic team boss was rearrested alongside ex-Square Enix employee Tatsuki Sasaki who was also arrested alongside Naka earlier this month. The pair are accused of investing in A-Team Entertainment based on non-public knowledge about Square Enix's plans to collaborate with the Japanese developer on the Final Fantasy mobile title. This is apparently so. Naka allegedly spent 144.7 million yen, about $834,000, on approximately 120,000 shares in A-Team Entertainment prior to the game's announcement. Earlier this month, Naka was arrested for suspected insider trading of 2.8 million yen, $20,000 for in the studio aiming, which made Dragon Quest Tact information that he would have had before the rest of the public. Same situation, just a little bit less money. This is a kind of a situation where you're not supposed to do this, especially if you are spending upwards of $1 million. And you kind of know what you're doing, and you're taking a big risk, and it looks like it's not paying off. But getting arrested for the Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale is just such a sting in the butt. I think, that game was not worth this. Of all games, exactly, Absby, of all games.
Of all games, yeah.
You should be arrested for Sonic. Yes, you should be arrested for Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld, yeah.
We'll let you go with a warning for Billy Hatcher, all right? Billy Hatcher, you just get a warning. But, that's none of this. It's Final Fantasy VII, the First Soldier. Go ahead.
You can't do all that, mister. Who do you think you are, a U.S. Senator? Come on. You can't get away with that.
That's right. Yep. What else do you say in this story, though? The last time this came up, it's like, yep, so he allegedly did this stuff. You shouldn't do those things. He made Sonic, and yes.
He's like going to the judge like, what if I told you I made Sonic? Does that sweeten the deal or anything?
Life in prison, death sentence.
No!
Death by chili dog. Put him in the Sonic simulator until he starves. All right. Yeah, could you do community service in the Sonic simulator, just holding a sign saying "I'm sorry," I don't know. We'll see.
Oh man, what next? Do you think he's doing more crimes, and those are going to get uncovered next week?
There's a pattern here. Obviously, these are just the first 2 times he was caught. This probably goes way back to the beginning of his career, betting big on Sega when he saw Altered Beast. His track record here is not, because Dragon Quest Tact, I don't remember at all. Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier, I do remember. I installed it on my phone, never played it, and then they announced they were closing it less than a year later. So, going back to his investment, right? Listen, if you have the insider information, I guess he probably did still make some money on this stuff, but regardless, it looks pretty bad. All right, let's keep moving along here. Zenimax QA workers to vote on forming union. This is from Marie Delisandri at GamesIndustry.biz. A group of 300 QA workers at Microsoft-owned Zenimax are organizing to form a union with Code CWA, Campaign to Organize Digital Employees from the Communications Workers of America. Should a majority of eligible workers vote in favor, it would be the first union at Microsoft and the biggest for game workers in the United States. Microsoft pledged in June that it wouldn't stand in the way of workers wishing to unionize and confirmed yesterday that it would remain neutral toward the union and provide clear guidance to Zenimax managers on neutrality. This was also confirmed by Zenimax workers on Twitter, with the newly formed Zenimax Workers United group saying that the vote will take place over the next 4 weeks. Here's a quote. "We know we have a unique opportunity to be trailblazers for a new era of games industry, and we don't take this lightly. Our union will be a place where all workers can collectively participate in decision-making and push for changes that reflect the wants and needs of workers." The group of Zenimax workers is spread across 4 studios: Hunt Valley in Maryland, Rockville in Maryland, Austin in Texas, and Dallas in Texas. This is spreading, right, Jess? This is just, we've had years.
Attempts are spreading, at least.
You're right. Attempts are spreading. It's got to start somewhere, right? And I think there was a long period of time there where I would look at the news and mutter to myself, they should unionize. And then you would be like, well, these are game developers, and for the most part, they have very individualistic personalities and worldviews, and they're kind of just going to see this like, hey, I'm going to go out for myself and do what's best for myself. And that has at least shifted to a point where this is possible. These attempts are possible. And it is nice to say, like we talked about, would Microsoft be better than Activision Blizzard? Activision Blizzard has tried to thwart these attempts as they popped up underneath their business structure, which has been where a couple of the unions have already popped up and voted and have been approved, or been approved by the workers, not approved by Activision. Activision has hired law firms to try to union bust and have gone through those motions, and it's been sort of a lot messier over there. So it's like this is an example where Microsoft is trying to look better at the very least. I don't know if
looking better,
right?
Looking
right.
Better.
I mean, how much better is we're going to be neutral to this? Again, it looks
maybe
better.
they have more secreter lawyers that they're using to union bust too. I don't know.
Right, yes, and I mean that would be and if they're doing that, that's going to look way worse. But for now,
really
as far
bad.
as we can tell, it looks better. But still, it's like okay, we'll see what happens, and if these organizers do feel like they can actually operate in the way they want to get this vote through over the next handful of weeks. But I mean, do you think that this really is the start of? In 10 years, we have unions across the industry, or is this going to be like just, it'll take a lot longer than that? What do you think?
I mean, I am optimistic, and I want to be optimistic. I am a bit of a pessimist because I just know that corporations are incredibly, stupidly powerful, more powerful than anyone needs them to be.
Yes.
Have more money than God. And you throw money at a problem hard enough, you can make almost anything go away. But like, yeah, I think people are fed up, especially, workers in America. They see how sweet everybody else in all sorts of other countries have it. And how, we also, deal with a lot of bullshit, work really fucking hard, pay tons of taxes, and none of it helps us, be less miserable or more healthy or like any of that stuff. So I think like we are hitting a critical cultural breaking point where unionization is a lot more less demonized, because we can see that other countries, other companies have done it and done perfectly fine. And like you said earlier, that like game developers are very like individualistic, and they have
or
like
traditionally have been
personalities.
at the very least.
Yeah, like traditionally they're very individualistic. So like, why would a union appeal to them? I mean, you're talking about an individualistic person that already works in a gigantic company, and those things squash individualism like nobody's business to begin with. So it really, as far as individualism goes, you're probably better off in a union anyway. So
And I think that a lot of these developers have seen through the matrix a little bit here, where they, in just the recent past, they've looked and seen how the video game industry has grown and was able to take home a lot of profits. And meanwhile, the volatility that the industry still experiences across the board has mostly been felt by people who make the games, the people that create the value in the first place. They are.
It's not a stable career.
No. Yes.
Being in games is like one of the least stable careers I can think of right now, which is stupid and shameful, because it's like it's a gigantic industry, bigger than movies, right?
Yeah.
And movies are loaded up with unions.
Yeah, and
it's like if we're bigger than movies, we should be the most unionized industry fucking ever, right? Like, I don't know.
And the whole idea there is that they build the volatility into understanding how the job is going to work in movies. So it's like, yeah, you're working on this one project, and when the project is done, you're done working on that, but you are still part of the union. So there will be union jobs pretty much ready for you to go, and the process for slotting you in there is a paved road, and it's going to be very easy for that to make sense for you. In video games, it's just been so long, we finished the game, we really kind of don't need you anymore. And the volatility that we all know is part of making games, of building up a project requiring hundreds, now thousands of people to actually finish that, and then finishing the game, and now requiring a lot less than that to maintain it. Well, we know that is going to happen with almost all of these games, but we just, instead of like building in structures to move people on gently, we're just saying, okay, well, thanks for your time. So long. You've been laid off. And that was just
and that's like, that you could say like, though, that's like a natural occurrence of like the work, but also like, corporations and companies have leveraged that against the workers on purpose by design. Like, oh, you want to leave when the project is like 80% done, you don't get your name in the credits.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that. It's just like needlessly cruel, and it's used as a retaliation tactic to keep people working at the place.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where if unions are not going to make that volatility go away, they're not going to make it so that everyone can just be hired permanently, even when there's no big game coming out. But it can put in rules so that the companies have to follow strict crediting guidelines. So that if you did work on a game, your name goes on there. You can put on a resume that I shipped a game, and people can go to Moby Games and see, oh, it is there. And that has an obvious and positive effect on someone's career. And you kind of can't be a weird company that's going to hold that over someone's head to try to keep them around at a certain cost to you, and say, well, either give me a raise or I'm going to go somewhere else. If you're an employee, and they're like, well, go somewhere else, and we won't credit you on this game.
That's retaliation.
And it shouldn't be a bargaining chip. Obviously, that's just one example of how that works.
Absolutely.
And it's those rough edges that unions can clearly rub away. And again, it's not going to solve all the problems. It's not going to make the volatility of the industry go away, but it can make it a much more hospitable place to the human beings that, again, create the value in the first place. I'm optimistic too, I think, Jess, where I think that we're looking at a moment in time where people's sentiments towards unions have grown in a positive direction over the last several years. I think that a lot of people that are coming out of the pandemic recognize how interlinked everyone is and how interdependent we all are. And
absolutely.
At a certain point, it's like, well, why shouldn't we just be interlocking in a way that is going to where we take care of each other in our work as well as in society at large? I think a lot of people are trending in that direction. It's going to be a pretty good thing, I hope. There's always going to be
a small silver lining of the pandemic is everyone had a fucking minute to breathe and not go to work and think about, wait, why am I so miserable?
Yeah.
Can I fix that in some way? Whether it's at work or whether it's, realizing you're trans. Like, so many people I know realized they were trans over the pandemic, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, good for you. And it's just like having a goddamn moment, not in the machine where you wake up, you go to work, you go home, you go to bed, you do it again and again and again and again, and you have no time to think about why you're so unhappy. And it's like, hey, maybe we're all kind of trending in a more healthy position mentally after going through all this terrible stuff. So I don't know.
Yep, I hope these Zenimax QA workers are able to unionize. This always does seem to come from QA. It will be a lot more difficult to get the engineers and maybe even artists to unionize. But at a certain point, when these employees who are working on these games and doing a bulk of the creative work look around and see, like, why are we getting treated this way? And why are the QA workers getting treated so much better than us? The answers are going to be pretty obvious. And they'll have no one to blame but themselves. And I think that's going to get a lot of people off their asses here pretty soon. And
it's going to be a domino effect, yeah.
A domino effect, yeah. And it'll be just a building wave. At least I hope so. I'm definitely on the side of that would make things better. Yes, fingers crossed, indeed. All right, let's move on to this hell of a story that Jordan Midler from VGC just posted right before we went live. Days Gone director blames middling reviews on, quote, woke reviewers and tech issues. The director and writer of Days Gone has blamed the game's middling critical reception on technical issues and, quote, woke reviewers, who he claims couldn't be bothered to play the game. John Garvin tweeted this theory in response to a fan asking why he thought the post-apocalyptic PS4 biker game didn't get more praise when it was first released in 2019.
All the bikers were wearing MAGA hats and Ku Klux Klan hoods, and of course we're going to mention it in the reviews.
It's so much more mundane than that. Here's Garvin's reply. 3 reasons. It had tech issues like bugs, streaming, and frame rate. Okay. 2, it had reviewers who couldn't be bothered to actually play the game. That's always a fun one. And 3, it had woke reviewers who couldn't handle a gruff white biker looking at his date's ass.
Get him! Ooh.
Jordan goes on to define woke for us, where it's just like, hey, you think there's systemic injustices in the world. Days Gone currently has a score of 71 on the review aggregator Metacritic. Numerous similar PS4 console exclusives scored somewhat higher, such as Ghost of Tsushima earning 83, and Sony Santa Monika's God of War reboot receiving 94.
Those are both better games.
Much better games. Garvin's latest claim has sparked backlash from both members of the games media and fans of the series who responded to his tweet negatively. One said, "Come on, John, woke, you're better than that." To which Garvin replied, "Nope, I'm really not." If a reviewer objects to a character because of identity politics, I call that woke. How am I wrong?
Oh my God.
Others pointed out that Red Dead Redemption 2, which contains numerous instances of racism, sexism, and other scenarios that those accused of being woke would presumably object to, as well as a gruff cowboy, was released just 6 months earlier and was critically acclaimed with a Metacritic score of 97.
So shut the fuck up.
Yes, this is not the same guy who previously said that the reason that the what is it called now? I can't remember. I just sit here with the spiker game, Days Gone. The reason Days Gone 2 didn't
I can't even remember the damn name of the game. It's just who cares about Days Gone?
It just the reason. Listen, I didn't review it, so I'm not a reviewer. Didn't play it, but I didn't play it because it was not interesting to me, and I didn't even know that the gruff biker guy looked at his date's ass. I honestly think that's kind of charming, but whatever. The reason previously a different director said Days Gone 2 didn't happen because people were out there buying used games, used copies of it, which is something you asked about earlier this week on the Bombcast. It's like, but that happens to every game, and other games do get a sequel, but this is not the same guy. This is a different theory, which is people saw a white guy and freaked out, and I don't think that's how it works actually. This just seems. Shut up. I kind of don't know. Like, I don't think it's career suicide to say something like this, because that's like the idea that, this cancel culture is actually going to do something to this guy.
Well, sadly, it's not career suicide.
Yeah, right. He's just going to be able to. He's obviously going to be able to work on stuff again. It'll be fine. But it just seems so like foot and mouth. It just seems so silly to come out and be like this. It's. I don't know. You put out something that people don't respond to. I found the best strategy is to like just take responsibility for it. Just say, hey, what did I do wrong? Maybe other factors were in play. I don't think those factors were woke reviewers, but if you feel that way, you're allowed to feel that way. Maybe just shut up about it and say, what could I have controlled in this scenario, and what could I have changed or done better? And that's where you should focus your stuff on, because otherwise you're just going to end up looking kind of stupid in this situation.
I just like, yeah, stupid. But it's just like, okay, so you have tech issues. Okay, sure. Reviewers who couldn't be bothered to play the game. That's kind of nebulous. I don't know if you could prove that, disprove
just
that,
a made
whatever.
Up thing. Yeah.
And then 3 is like, okay, reviewers can't handle a gruff, white, biker-looking dude looking at his date's ass. It's like, there's a lot of protagonists that do that in different levels and permutations. But are you saying that this one protagonist had the correct amount of all 3 of those things to piss off people, and therefore it became a noticeably a woke problem? That's like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I just, people think some criticism is way more effective than it is, and people throw these kinds of criticisms at all kinds of products. Of, hey, this I remember a friend of the site said once that like Mario Kart didn't have any white characters, or any black non-white characters, and it's like, this is pretty strange when you look at this roster and like look at all these white faces and kind of no black people, and it's like people freaked out about that. That game's sold okay. It's done just fine. That criticism is valid, should have been heard, and people freaked out about it, but none of that actually ended up mattering to the product's ability to sell. It was just a conversation that happened alongside that, which I'm sure maybe some people did criticize the character and looking at the ass. That does sound like the kind of thing that could have popped up in a review or two. Fixating on it though, as the creator, is a mistake.
There was I remember when it first came out, there was a really funny clip going around of like, there was a flashback where biker guy was getting married to his biker lady friend. And there was a cutscene that like quotes like actual like things that bikers say to each other when they're getting biker married, I guess. But it was like, there was some line in it that was like, I hope you ride me as much as you ride your bike or something. And I was just like, ugh.
Listen, but to me, that's so stupid. I love it. Like, that's like
it's
really
funny.
It's funny.
It's cringe and it's funny, but it's not like, everybody don't buy this.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I don't care. Like, it's stupid.
Right. That's just right. But we're not, I rarely just criticism like, don't buy this. It's just, this is a thing that I think is worth pointing out, and it has issues. It does not translate directly into why the game doesn't succeed.
I don't remember anyone complaining about the game beside like woke style or like,
I don't remember that either.
Getting up in arms about sexism outside of just making fun of that cutscene. I don't think anyone was taking it like, what
criticisms do you remember about that game? Because I remember a couple, and they were mostly, it's another zombie game.
Yeah, it's another zombie game. It's boring. The gameplay loop isn't interesting. The characters are not very compelling. and
it's
dumb shit happens.
This is from the company that makes Last of Us. Why would they also do this when they have The Last of Us? This is
this
strange.
an AMC show tie-in or something?
Oh, it's not, but it looks a lot like that show. Is it just trying to be that show?
Isn't it kind of late to make like this kind of prestige television sort of attempt in a video game and not even pull it off?
And a generic version of that, nonetheless, it just, there's so many things working against it. To harbor a grudge like this is embarrassing a little bit.
It's almost adorable that's the thing he latched onto.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, honestly, I saw the story and I couldn't help but just laugh like you did when we first introduced it, because it's it is mostly just hilarious.
It's a joke, man. You're a fucking joke if you're like, oh, the wokes made my bad game sell bad. Ooh.
All right, last couple of stories here. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Wave 3 is out now from Jordan Midler at VGC. The Wave, which is the third of 6 drops planned as part of the Booster Course Pass, includes classic tracks such as Boo Lake from the Game Boy Advance and Maple Treeway from the Nintendo Wii. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass costs $25. Players who subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online's expansion pack receive access to the DLC as part of their subscription. There's some courses here. We're not going to go through all of them, but the Rock Cup has Tour London Loop from the mobile game, and GBA's Boo Lake, and 3DS Rock Mountain. None of these stand out to me as someone who's played a lot of Mario Kart games and has been a fan of some of the tracks that have popped up in the previous 2 waves. And yet I found myself putting this story in the rundown today and be like, oh man, I can't wait to go back to Mario Kart and just play some new tracks. That's a nice little treat. Something earlier this generation, as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just kept selling and selling, I was like, well, why won't they put out DLC? They're probably never going to do that. Well, here we are, kind of feeling a little bit lucky, even if these things aren't headline grabbing on their own in terms of which tracks are getting put in there. This is still pretty fun. Are you a Mario Kart fan, Jess?
I play it when other people are like, you want to play Mario Kart?
It's one of those games, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll play it. I haven't played as many as it seems like a lot of people have. I don't recognize any of these. For example, I think I recognize the name of Peach Gardens and obviously Rainbow Road. But I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm just kind of a fair weather party game sort of enjoyer of Mario Kart. So I mean, good for everyone who cares about that, though. Propaganda Panda chat pointed out they also added item drop selection, which I believe means that in certain modes you can select which item of the 2 that you have that you can drop. I think. Yeah, and that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. That was
I think that's
in
how
one
it works.
of them. I don't remember which one had that.
So I think in Double Dash, Mario Kart Double Dash, one character would be holding something in the back, and if you swapped the characters, so the one was in the drive and the other one went in the back, they would take their item with them, and you could use one or the other. And
still thought there was one where you could just be one character and you could have 2.
That sounds right to me
things.
Too. Yeah.
Someone in the chat will know.
Okay, no, they're actually correcting me. No, sorry. As in the only items you can get during the race. Oh, they're saying item drops. As in okay, so you're setting up a race and you can drop certain items to not be available on the course. That seems like something that should...
Smash Brothers rules.
That should have been in there from the beginning. I honestly thought that was in there from the beginning, which is why customization. Yes, thank you, everybody, for the correction. I really appreciate that. Hey, you know what they should do, though? They should add item swapping towards the thing. I like that strategy.
An option to do item swap would be really cool.
Yes, that'd be very cool. No apology needed, Propaganda Panda. It's all on me. I saw that and didn't actually fully read it when I was going through it this morning. All right, finally, Diablo 4's release date has seemingly appeared online, again from Jordan Midler over at VGC. This is according to Twitter user Aggiornamenti Lumina.
Aggiornamenti Lumia.
Aggiornamenti Lumina, who has
Lumia.
Lumia. Listen.
Damn it.
Early for me too. I'm just gonna make you say these tough ones.
I'm the insufferable Japanese pronouncer, not the insufferable Italian pronouncer.
Listen, I think if you're gonna do it for one, you got to do it from all. So
I'm gonna give it a shot and do it wrong.
Who has a proven track record of scraping the Xbox and Windows Store backend in order to uncover confidential internal data? According to the user, the game is set for release on June 5th at 11 p.m., though Lumia points out that in some time zones, this would mean a June 6th release. The game, which will allegedly be 80 gigabytes in size on Xbox, will release in Standard, Digital Deluxe, and Ultimate Edition. This game is definitely, they're trying to get it out as quickly as possible because they want Activision Blizzard games to still be coming out, even as they were struggling with a lot of their games, especially at Blizzard. With with Overwatch 2, for example, they were like, well, let's push this out in some form this year instead of waiting for when everything is ready, which was what they originally were going to do. And then the plans changed. Like, well, we want to put something out, so let's just take the multiplayer, make that its own thing, and call that Overwatch 2, call it a day, and actually put something out. Diablo 4, they are trying to run as many tests as possible so they can kind of get that momentum going, and then releasing it by spring, summer. By summer makes sense for that game. I am someone who really likes playing Diablo 3 on the couch with friends, and I kind of think that Diablo 4 might be the best one of those yet, because they've learned so much about putting Diablo on consoles since Diablo 3 came out, that I think from out of the gate, Diablo 4 is probably going to crush in that regard, and I can't wait. It's a very good series, and I think it's probably going to be very successful as long as they could have a successful launch in terms of the tech actually working for them. Are you a Diablo person by any chance?
Haven't played a single damn one.
All right, well, there we go. I got someone to come play with me. There we go. We'll get Jess on there.
I'm Diablo curious, though.
Yeah, they're just fun couch co-op multiplayer games, which I know they go way back beyond that, but that's been my primary experience with them, everybody. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to do some poll questions in a second. First, though, I want to give everybody a chance to ask a question or two as part of a GrubbSnax segment inside of Game Mess Mornings, which I think... Here, actually, no, you guys didn't hear that. Let me do it again. There we go. There we go. All right. Oh, my God, I hit the scroll button on me. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. Yeah, I'm falling through. Let me see if this is going to fix it if I hit this button again. There we go. All right. If you have a question, go ahead and hit that Ask a Question button here on giantbomb.com/chat. If you are on Twitch, just at me or at giantbomb, and I'll see it here. It's right there. I can see Snilks saying something right now. And we'll answer them as best we can. Let's go here to questions. From Octo, what game is just planning to catch up on for Game of the Year?
Oh, crap. I have been catching up. I played through Pentiment, absolutely fucking adored it. Holy goddamn shit. Oh my fucking God.
Yes.
No spoilers, but oh my fucking God. What else? There's been a couple things that I started and haven't finished, like the Chant, but that's not going to be goaty, but it's like kind of on my back burner to come back to. What else? I bounced off Tunic. I tried twice, and I feel like a goddamn an idiot for not liking it.
You know, I loved Tunic from the beginning, and then it really dropped for me pretty hard in the second half.
It sucks because I'm like, I like Zelda-ass stuff, and I like puzzle-ass stuff. Yeah. And I think the Metroid-ass part was what like made me ticked off and like frustrated, where it's like, oh, there's a thing over there and I can't go to the thing. Fuck, I'm too stupid and I don't know. And it just like got to me in a weird way. And it's just like, that's such a dumb reason to not play this game. But I tried.
I mean, we're at the time of the year where a dumb reason turns out to be a very good reason if it saves you time.
There's only so much time until everything goes down.
Let me ask you, if I had to pick between Signalis and Faith, which one should I play?
Ooh. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Shit.
Just the gut. Just the gut. What's your gut tell you? Don't think about it.
I don't even have a gut feeling. Jesus.
Man,
I mean, here's the thing. They're both so good, but in different ways.
Yeah.
And like they both accomplish what they set out to do very well in totally different ways. Signalis is Signalis is a darling of the year, and I'm so happy for them. But like, I feel like Faith has kind of like gone under the radar a little bit, and I would like to like be able to discuss Faith chapter.
I know Bacalar played it, so I'm like, okay, if he's playing it, there will be multiple people to have a conversation about that one. Maybe I want to be a part of that. I started it. I just got to actually get in there.
And Faith is also shorter, I think, than Signalis.
Okay, well that's
I'm not
nice.
sure if you were to do each chapter in a row, though. I'm not sure if that would time out.
You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna start out and go for it.
Is it Signalis chat or is it Signalis? I don't really know.
I don't know, and I'm not. You know what? And I'm not gonna find out. Nilaka, why is Midnight Sun so good? Firaxis is very good at making games. I think it really is that simple. They took their time on it, and they were willing to delay it. So they got the combat fantastic, and it seems like they probably spruced up the Abby stuff enough to make it feel like you are at least moving forward as you go through that Abby stuff. Even if you're not going to get to smooch everybody, at least those relationships could be somewhat interesting, and then pay off in the combat later on.
The only Abby I care about is the one in Pentiment. Going back to Pentiment. No, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good stuff. I can't wait to have the conversations about Pentiment. That is actually one of the big things I'm looking forward to for Game of the Year.
Wow.
Slacker Chan, what internal organ should I sell to afford all the games coming out next quarter? Yeah, it's getting wild in early 2023. I was kind of like looking, there is a whole bunch of stuff. Hogwarts Legacy, okay, but Dead Space, December 27th for Spoken, January 24th. I said December January 27th for Dead Space.
Spoken, you don't need to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well,
you don't need to.
It seems like right now, who knows? We'll see. It's at least a big budget again. Kerbal Space Program 2 in February 24th. Octopath Traveler is also February 24th. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe February 24th. Well, that's the next one getting a Deluxe from Nintendo. Resident Evil 4 Remake is March 24th. It is wild out there. Star Wars Jedi Survivor obviously in March.
We feasting.
Yes, it's going to be. Seems like it could be a really strong year as long as most of those games do what they're supposed to do. Which if they've been delayed so many times. They've got Dead Island 2 March or April 28th. I guess some of these dates might not actually be right. I think that was supposed to be February now, but who knows? Let's do one more. Worst David Cage game in your opinion? Yes.
Oh wait. I'm looking up. I want to see a list. I want to see a list.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Omicron is hilarious. Fahrenheit's hilarious. / Indigo Prophecy. I'm gonna say I haven't played Detroit Become Human. I've been meaning to forever because me and my partner Josh love hate David Cage games. They're so fucking funny to couch co-op play in that way. And I don't know. I haven't played Detroit, so it could be Detroit, but I think I would say Beyond Two Souls is the worst of the ones that I'm familiar with and I've played.
I haven't played too many. I played Indigo Prophecy, and it was like, yeah, okay. And then
Dude, that game's so funny. Holy shit.
They all just have such ham-fisted writing. And I mean, my favorite David Cage thing is him saying that Detroit Become Human is different from other film media or other media about androids because in Detroit Become Human, you're supposed to be sympathizing with the androids. And I'm just, homie.
No one's ever done this before. He's a trailblazer.
What are you saying?
Have you heard of sci-fi in general? What? Where have you been, my man?
Have you heard of storytelling before?
It's like when Silicon Valley people reinvent a bus. Is David Cage with every genre.
1,000% that.
I'm the first person to ever do this. Objectively, no, my man, you're not.
Just absolutely not. Boy, that guy.
My favorite David Cage thing is when he said, "That's cool." in something, and now me and my partner just say sometimes to each other, "That's cool."
Yeah, I try to do a Yves Guillemot. That's my French game developer accent. Yes, we at Ubisoft would like to thank you all. Yes, he's got that tiny little voice. I love it.
It is a very cool accent.
Yes, precious little Yves Guillemot and very cool, very modern David Cage. All right, let's get to the polls. Monday, I asked you, do you think you'll be playing Dragon Age by the end of 2023? And that's, of course, Dragon Age, the next Dragon Age, Dragon Age 4. 25.5% said yes, 24.5% said no. Oh, ye of little faith.
74.5.
Yeah, 74.5. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. I've looked into this since then. Sounds like it's still on track for by the end of 2023. It will be coming out. That could change. Of course, it could change. But internally, that's what they're targeting. Internally, they still expect that. So there's still a chance. Maybe it is only a 25.5% chance, though. So that seems fair. What do you
take this as real life probabilities?
What do you think? A big game like that, they think they can hit it. They haven't announced a date. They've just been kind of talking around the game a little bit.
So this is like a brand new Dragon Age,
yes.
Not a remaster,
Dragon Age,
remake
Dreadwolf, the full follow up to Dragon Age Inquisition. Yes,
not a DLC.
No,
not
just
an
a massive new game. Yep,
a sequel.
Yep, made in Unreal. Yeah, yep.
It's not coming out in 2023. 2024 or 5. I don't know. Seems likely.
I kind of hope that this will be the start of a new time in games where, because this is going to be next gen only or new gen only, so PS5, Xbox Series X and S. And so, well, if it's not cross gen, maybe that makes it a little bit easier for them. But you're right. There's just so many things, and scope creep causes things to expand, and yeah, it's probably going to slip into 2024.
These games are massive, huge, like stupid big.
And they're only getting bigger. They're only getting bigger.
Yeah, they're only getting goddamn huger. So it's like, I don't know. Like, it's already such a huge undertaking to make a Skyrim game 10 years ago. And now it's like, I don't know. That seems optimistic to aim for 2023.
I would need to ask a new poll question. Didn't come up with one, but the one I was kind of thinking of as we were going through the news stories is, would you ever watch a show inside a video game? Yeah, I'm just going to ask that. Yeah, would you...
And by that, we don't mean like the Alan Wake style one where they have a fake show that you can watch in the game, like a real show.
Yeah, an episode of a real TV show inside a video game. And then Game Mess Mornings. In the meantime, Jess, why don't you tell people what we have going on for the rest of the week? We got a big thing going on tomorrow night.
Yeah, let me bring up the schedule. It's on my desktop.
Yes, that's fantastic.
So I'm going to be on Arcade Pit in just a little bit in an hour from now, I think, is how it goes.
Yes, an hour after this. Right.
Yes, and allegedly, I'm not sure if it's still happening or if something came up, but Rory said he wanted to do a Dragonflight community corner because the new WoW expansion thing is out. We also got a Jeff's Bizarre Adventure coming out today. Tomorrow, there's going to be some sort of Dwarf Fortress live stream.
Yes,
I think
that sounds good. Let's do that. I don't remember that, but we'll make it happen.
Someone said that. I put it on the schedule.
Honestly, I might have said that, and yes, I should do that because I really want to play with the community. So yeah,
I really want to. I want to see it. I want to invite me to that.
Yes, absolutely. I'll go. I'll be in this room. Just like, let's hang out. Let's do it.
Perfect. You know where I'll be.
Yes.
In this room. Voicemail Dump Truck is on the schedule, but we're not doing it because we're talking over the Game Awards.
Right.
And we don't want to be too stacked. And that's happening at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, very early for the Pacific Coast for something like this. And yeah, on Friday, got kind of the usual stuff. I'm pretty sure Sekirocho is happening, and Unprofessional Fridays is going to be themed after the new Fortnite update where everything is all shiny and new and pretty.
Ooh, yes. I'm ready to check out some more Fortnite. It's been a while for me. I know that Dan and I think Jan's been in there a little bit, but I've not been back recently.
We're gonna have a couple special guests. They're not confirmed yet, so I'm not gonna say who the two tag-alongs are going to be. But you might have noticed, like, where's Dan? Where's Bacalar? Where's Tim? Where's Lucy? They're somewhere else.
Yes,
they're not here this week.
Yes, they are traveling, and I'm very jealous. But I got to hang out with you today, so that was great. Thank you so much for coming on Game Us Mornings and talking about video games with me, Jess.
For sure. Thanks for having me and making me wake up just a tiny bit earlier than usual.
We're going to be so productive today. It's going to be embarrassing for everybody else. They're going to go, wow, we look bad, and they will. They will.
What productive workers we got over here.
Exactly. That's what I always strive to be.
Hope they don't unionize. Oh, no. Sure would be a shame.
Thank you for watching, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Bye.